What would it feel like to be truly, deeply happy, regardless of your circumstances? Did you know that happiness is a choice and not a result? That you can create your life on purpose? Join us now to learn more. This is the Time to Rise and Thrive radio show. And here's your host, mindset coach, and facilitator of change, Jackie Mott.
Hello and welcome. Welcome to Time to Rise and Thrive. Happy Friday. It's Friday, and I got to tell you, we have the most beautiful weather out there today. I'm just thrilled. I'm just thrilled. One of the things that I asked on one of the groups that I'm part of yesterday was, what are you looking forward to when the nice weather hits? So think about that. Think about that for a minute. What are you looking forward to? So many things. So many things. So thank you for joining me. You are with me for Time to Rise and Thrive on Inspired Choices Network. I am your host, Jackie Mott. And this week we are talking about empowered living. Ooh, what fun, right? Empowered living, dancing with your demons. So this is going to be a really interesting show because it kind of can go all over the map. So we'll see how well I hold this together for you today. So on Time to Rise and Thrive, we talk about our subliminal soundtrack and how to get it working for you rather than against you. We talk about seeing our unique beauty and loveliness and that contribution that we actually are to the world. It's lovely. It's so much fun. I am so very grateful that I have this particular show that I get to play with so many wonderful people about really important stuff every week. I'm so grateful. So, today's show is Empowered Dancing with Your Demons. And here's our description. It says, have you ever thought you were over something only to have it resurface at probably the most inconvenient time? Or, when you're at your absolute lowest? Has that ever happened? I know it's happened to me many, many times. Being empowered means that you learn to dance with your demons when they come up and refuse to give them your power. But how do you learn that and become empowered? And that is exactly what we're going to be talking about today on the show. So, the subliminal soundtrack, just in case you haven't heard me talk about this before, I'll give you a really brief explanation for that. Subliminal soundtrack is that loop of messages that plays on the back of your mind all day, every day. It is made up of so many things. Every conversation you've ever had, every lesson you've ever learned, every relationship you've ever been part of, it contributes to the messages that play back there. So, just really quickly think about this for a second. The average number of thoughts that go through a person's mind over the course of a day, so a 24-hour period, is 60 to 80,000. 60 to 80,000. All right. So, because I do math stuff, because I'm weird, I broke that down and it works out to like 2,500 every hour or almost 50 thoughts every minute. Now, I don't know about you, but when I realized that statistic, I went, "Oh wow. Like how many can I actually identify that go through the back of my mind every minute?" And I promise you I'm nowhere near 50. I'm nowhere near 50. So what that shows us is that most of the thoughts that are going through our mind are unconscious things. They're happening in our subconscious. Now I'm sure some of them are about, take a deep breath or keep the heart beating or all of that kind of stuff. But man, can you imagine 50 thoughts per minute going through your mind? So when we have the subliminal soundtrack that is actually wired for success, then it actually propels us toward the things that we would like to create for ourselves. But you can also imagine that when we have a subliminal soundtrack that's full of limitations and belief systems that tell us that we're not good enough, we're not smart enough, we're not pretty enough, like whatever enough, right? I'm sure that at some point in your life somebody has told you that you're not enough of something or you're too much. Like that was one of mine was, Jackie, you're too much. You need to quiet down. Don't laugh so loud, Jackie. Don't laugh so loud. Yeah, so when we hear those things, they get kind of stuck back there, right? And they cause us to create these belief systems around every kind of situation. How do we be loved? How do we love? How do we, be in a relationship? How do we balance our checkbook? Everything, your relationship with your money, the type of work you choose, whether or not you choose a career that actually brings you happiness and fulfillment or just settle for whatever job comes along. All of those things are controlled by these messages. So it's really very important that we get to a place where we can understand what's happening back there, what's working for us, and what might be holding us back, so that we can take apart the ones that are holding us back and create new ones that actually will help us move in the direction that would make us happy or bring us fulfillment or whatever it is. More laughter, more joy, more money, more whatever, whatever's going to make your life better. Okay. So that's what we talk about. We talk about the subliminal soundtrack. And I'm getting so excited because some of the people in my tribe have actually adopted that language. It's my term. People call it internal script, internal dialogue, whatever. My term is subliminal soundtrack. And now my friends are actually talking to me about this subliminal soundtrack idea and what's going on for them. And it's so very exciting because I know that it's an idea that resonates with other people. So, when we look at our subliminal soundtrack, how does this relate to the idea of being empowered? If you believe that you're powerless or you are at the mercy of the circumstances in your life, you will be disempowered and you will actually create more of those situations that cause you to feel powerless and at the mercy of your life. But if you believe that you do not have to tolerate any kind of circumstances and you have the power and ability to create something different, you will recognize your thinking and how it is influencing your situation. You will take action to shift that thinking, and the relationships and the situations that you create will become ones that actually support you and push you in the direction of the things that you desire. Christine says, say again. Okay. If you believe that you are powerless and at the mercy of your circumstances, you will be disempowered and create or allow more of the circumstances that make you feel powerless. But again, if you believe that you don't have to tolerate things and you are in the power position in your life, you can create whatever you desire. Then you will open up to the situations and the people and the circumstances that will push you in the direction of that happiness and joy for you. Isn't that exciting? Like this is one of the wonderful things about doing this kind of work is you start to go, "Oh my gosh, I can change that. I can change that. I don't have to live at the mercy of these people or this job or this relationship or this situation in any way. We don't have to live with those circumstances at all. Isn't that exciting? Yes. All right. So on our website, you're going to hear a little bit more about this as we go through the show, but we have a brand new website that's coming. It is subliminalmindsetmastery.com. Currently, the website that is up and active is phoenixcoach.ca. There is a download for a free article on phoenixcoach.ca, and that is called 3 Easy Ways to Reset Your Subliminal Soundtrack. I have rewritten that article for the new website. I believe it is now called 5 Steps to Create a Mindset Wired for Success. And so, what I've done is I've learned new things over the course of the last few years that I have now intentionally put into this 5 steps as opposed to 3 steps. It's quite exciting. So, we'll talk a bit more about that as we go through the show. I wanted to talk about this demon thing because it's something that it can be misunderstood. I am not talking about some, creature or entity that comes to try to torment us. I'm talking about our own minds and how they pop up and try to torment us. So, here's the thing to understand about the mind. The mind is actually meant to keep us safe. All right. So think about this for a second. If you have a message on your subliminal soundtrack that says, don't run out into traffic because that's dangerous, that's probably one you want to keep, right? Like you don't want to replace that one because that one is actually helping you. Okay. So the ones that we're talking about here are the ones that create the boxes and the limitations that we believe to be true. Because here's the thing, what we believe to be true will be true for us, whether it is actually based on fact or based on completely incorrect information. And that's where we can start to shift it. We start to challenge things with what we know to be true, and then we can shift those thoughts. So our demons are the ones that pop up and say, wait a second, no, you should be scared. You should be scared, Jackie. Don't do that. Don't do that. You should not feel good. You are not good enough. Who do you think you are? Those are our demons, okay? The ones that tell us that we are bad or whatever. The ones that limit us are what I refer to as the demons. And the thing of it is we can learn how to dance with them. We can learn how to dance with them in a way that allows us to recognize them and let them go. We're going to get into that. I think it's in the next segment, but it's really that part of our mind that is meant to keep us from harm, okay? And how these things pop up generally is because we are triggered by somebody or something. So something happens that reminds us of a situation that has happened before. So let's just talk in terms of relationship. Have you ever known somebody who goes into the same relationship over and over and over and over again with a different person each time? Or the person who relates to their friends or their partners in a way that is unhealthy? Often those things come from these demons that are popping up in our head. So, for example, if I've been terribly hurt by 15 relationships that I've had in my past, and I know people like this, and I'm sure you'd probably do too. But if I've been hurt terribly every time I've exposed my heart to somebody, then there will very likely be a message somewhere on this loop that says it is dangerous to put yourself out there. Do not open your heart. Do not open your heart to another person, because every single time you get tromped on, every single time your heart gets broken and it's hard and it hurts, those are the things that will go through the back of our minds. Okay. And we don't even know they're there. That's the thing. We don't even know they're there unless we are actually paying attention. Unless we are paying attention. So, the problem with that way of thought, of course, is that if you come into a new relationship with a new person who could be that, like that right person for you, and you have shut down your heart and aren't letting anywhere near it, no one's getting anywhere near that place, then how do you ever engage and have a healthy relationship with another person? So if our demon pops up and says, oh my God, don't do this. You're going to get hurt. It's going to be awful. Your heart will get broken. You need to shut down, whatever. Run away, run away. Danger, Will Robinson. I don't know. Maybe that's just too old for some of the people that are going to be watching it. But, Will Robinson was a thing anyway. So if our demon pops up and is telling us this thing, then it is up to us whether to engage with that demon and buy into what they're trying to tell us, or whether we say, you know what, I'm good. Thank you very much. I've got this. Okay. So when we get to, I think it's the third segment, I've got some steps and how to do this. But one of the things that I want to talk to just before we go to or speak to just before we go to our first break here is the importance of our language. So, if you've watched any of the previous shows, you've heard me probably talk about some of this stuff. One of the things that I used to say way back when I was a single teen mom was I used to call myself a shit magnet. So, just think about that for a second. What do you think I was attracting into my life when I was perceiving myself as being a magnet for crap? What was I creating for myself? I was creating more of that stuff. Do you understand what I'm saying? So, words are very, very, very important. When we start to get to a place of like, there's nothing I can do, I can't change this, I have no power. Think about what you're saying and what you are actually bringing into your world or creating for yourself by using that type of language. Very important for us to get clear on this. The one thing that I would really like to share with you on this point is I don't know if you've ever seen the movie or read the book, The Help. If you haven't, it's really great. It's a really great story. I've actually done both. I've read the book and watched the movie. But there is a part of this movie where there's a character named Aibileen, I think. And she's one of your main characters. She is actually, she's a Black woman. It's in the South. It's like a long time ago when there was all kinds of racist stuff, right? But she had been hired to be sort of the nanny and like home person for this particular family. So there was this little beautiful little girl, and beautiful little girl did not have people around her that were kind or loving. She didn't. The people that were in her life, the adults that were in her life, really didn't pay that much attention to her. So what really stuck with me and touched me about this Aibileen character was that every day when she got that baby out of bed, she said to her, "You is kind, you is smart, you is important." So it's amazing to me because this was before this all really started to like settle in and land where I could understand it. But what she was doing was she was creating messages on this little girl's subliminal soundtrack. You is kind, you is smart, you is important. So she was creating a belief system in this little girl that she mattered. And how beautiful is that? How beautiful is that? All right. So it is time for us to go to our first break. So you are with me on Time to Rise and Thrive on Inspired Choices Network. I'm your host, Jackie Mott. Today we are talking about dancing with our demons and living an empowered life. So stick with us. We will be back in just a moment.
What do you tell yourself when you're not listening? This question came to Jackie Mott when she was trying to find peace and purpose in the wake of tragedy. She began to understand that a lot of her pain and choices had been the result of how she perceived herself and her place in the world. And she set about creating a new subliminal soundtrack that would support her in creating a life of abundance, joy, and fulfillment. To learn more about how she did that and how you can do the same, join Jackie on her radio show, Time to Rise and Thrive, every Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern, 12 noon Central, 11 a.m. Mountain, and 10 a.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
Are you a subject matter expert? Are you here to share your expertise with an audience waiting to hear from you in only the way you can deliver? Are you ready to have your voice amplified across the airwaves? Inspired Choices Network has a global radio platform streaming to millions of people across the world. Professionally produced and supported by an accomplished team every step of the way, you can broadcast from anywhere in the world, knowing your voice matters, and we ensure it is delivered with ease and efficiency. Eager to hear your message, the world awaits. Contact us today to become an Inspired Choices Network radio host. Email becomeahost@inspiredchoicesnetwork.com.
This is the Time to Rise and Thrive show with mindset coach and facilitator of change, Jackie Mott. To participate in the program, join our live studio audience in our chat room at inspiredchoicesnetwork.com. For more information, visit phoenixcoach.ca, where you can follow Phoenix Coaching online. Now, back to the program.
Hello and welcome back to Time to Rise and Thrive on Inspired Choices Network. I'm your host, Jackie Mott, and today we are talking about living an empowered life and learning to dance with our demons. So in this part of the show, I wanted to talk about what does it really mean to live an empowered life? You know, we hear people talking about it all the time, but what does it really mean and how can you do that? So when I was thinking about this morning, I sort of got this vision in my head of somebody who's in the driver's seat. So, you know, you're the person who chooses, you're the person who picks which direction are you going to go, what choice are you going to make for yourself. Okay, so that was the thing that came to me, was this like being in the driver's seat. You are consciously working on developing your belief in yourself. So that means that we are addressing all of these all of these stories and these demons. We're addressing them consciously and on purpose. Do you see what I'm saying? So when we're living the empowered life, we are actually, and I think I'll give you an example on this. There was a thing that happened, I don't know when, a long time ago, years ago. Somebody said something to me that really got stuck, you know, because that's the stuff, right? That's the stuff. It got stuck there. And so when I started doing the show, I had this thing come up for me again because it was something to the effect of that I was arrogant, or I was a shameless self-promoter, I think was the term that was used. And the really ironic thing is, this person who said this has never even met me in real life. That's the really funny part of the whole thing. So somehow or other, one day when I was getting ready to do the show 6 months or so ago, um, I don't know why this came up, but it came up. And like, I'm telling you, it was like, who do you think you are? You're arrogant. You're like, all of these kinds of things were going through my head that morning. And I was like, wow, wow, man. And so what I decided to do was I decided to dance with it. I decided to dance with it. Here's the thing. Anybody who knows me in real life knows that I'm probably about the furthest that you can get from arrogance, like ever. I'm not wired that way, right? Um, and who is this person? Who is this person and why do they have an opinion about this thing? Is it true? No, it's not true. And I'm in business, so of course I'm going to promote myself. Like Walmart does it, nobody gets upset with them. Tim Hortons does it all the time. Nobody gets upset with them. If you're in business, you need to have a voice. You need to promote yourself because otherwise no one knows you're there. So how are you going to find new clients? How are you going to make a living? Right? You're allowed to do that. So if you are watching this and you are in business, please stand on your rooftop and scream for all to hear. Who are you? What do you do? How do you help people? How do you solve problems in people's lives? Please share it. And if you're watching this, go on the post. Seriously, go on the post and tell me about who you are and what you do. I would love to celebrate that for you. I would absolutely love that. Don't ever, ever let anyone tell you that you should not, you should not do the thing that you were made to do, or you're arrogant, or you're bad, or you're don't listen. All right. Just don't listen. You have a purpose on this planet. I don't know what it is. I hope you do, but I don't know what it is. And I'll tell you, one of my purposes on this planet is right here and right now. One of my purposes on this planet is to be sitting here talking with you right now and sharing the things that I have learned. Because what happens if you address that? What happens if you actually address that stuff that's playing in the back of your mind? I was 17 years old when I became a mom. And when I became a mom, I bought into a whole lot of stories that were being told to me at that point in my life. I had ruined my life. I could never recover from this thing. My life would never be the same again. All of my potential was out the window. I bought into those stories and I believed them to be true. And I wasted about 20 years of my life in that loop. Do you understand what I'm saying? I wasted 20 years of my life in that loop, which was not true. Because the truth of the matter is that the girl who came home pregnant was the same girl that she had been 5 minutes before she made that announcement. She was still smart. She was still beautiful. She was still hardworking. She was still ambitious. She could still take the world. She could still take the world. Was it a little bit more complicated? Sure. Didn't change the fact that she was still that exact same person. And that's, hello, here I am. Here I am standing on my soapbox preaching to you about all of this stuff. So, what happens if I do not speak my truth, if I do not share the things that I learned from wasting 20 years of my life? What about the person out there who can hear that? What about the person out there who's stuck in the same sort of loop that feels powerless, that feels unworthy, that feels terrible about themselves, that carries shame and guilt? What about them? What about them? So, you know, if I'm supposed to just shut up, then I guess people can just turn me off. They don't have to listen to me. But I say what I say and I do what I do because there is one person maybe out there who needs this. I don't care about the people who don't. I care about reaching that one person who does. Okay. So, whew. Oh boy, oh boy. Please share with me what makes you unique and beautiful and wonderful, please, because I want to celebrate that and I want to share that with you because that is the stuff that makes my life juicy and yummy and flavorful and wonderful. So please find us on Facebook, share something. Oh my God, I would love to hear what you're doing. I would love to hear what you're doing to change your little corner of the world. I would love to hear it. Okay, so living the empowered life. I guess I kind of just did that, didn't I? All right. So, yeah. What does it mean? What does it mean to live this empowered life? So you're paying attention to and being responsible for the contributions that you are to your life and to the life of others. Very important. You are responsible. So I talk about this in terms of radical personal responsibility. I screw up. I probably screw up every day. Anybody who's honest will tell you the same thing. We all make mistakes. We all screw up. Sometimes we hurt people. Hopefully, that's not the intention behind it, but sometimes we do. We all screw up. So now, when we realize that we have, the radical personal responsibility is about owning that and saying, okay, I screwed up. What can I do better next time? What can I learn from this? Is there a way to make this right? And if there is, I will do that. Radical personal responsibility. So we are actually paying attention to what we're doing, what we're saying, and how we are impacting people around us. Make sense? Makes sense. Yes. So another thing is that we're conscious of these demons and we are ready. We are ready to dance with them when they pop up. So I seem to dance with the same demons sometimes over and over and over again. And I think that that's the thing. I think that these things are things that will challenge us, and it's so wonderful when we can get to a place where we start to understand that eh, there has been a place in time in our lives where these thought processes and these limitations were helpful. Okay. So, like, don't run out in traffic. It's very helpful. It's very helpful to know that. It's very helpful to know that. But, you know, what I've come to understand is that it's the demons that we dance with that show us our depth and that help us to see how far we've come. So let's keep dancing with them. Let's keep dancing with them, right? Welcome that, because it shows you your mile markers. It shows you how far you've come in your healing and your growth. How wonderful is that? When that demon that that I was talking about a minute ago, when that baby shows up now, what do you think? What do you think? No, thank you. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. I don't need you. I don't need you. Now, at a certain point in my life, was that helpful? Maybe it was. Maybe it was, or maybe it wasn't ever. I don't know. But that one, you see, doesn't hold the power that it did. It does not hold the power that it did. And when we get good at this, that's the beautiful thing. These things can pop up and we can go, oh, yeah, I see you. I see you. I know you're there. And I'm going to make the choice to do what's right for me. Thank you. Bye bye. You see what I'm saying? It can get almost fun, almost fun, but there's a process that we have to go through to get there. And when we first start dancing with them, we're likely to trip and fall and we may need some help. There's a whole bunch of stuff, right? When we first start this process of learning how to dance with those demons, but keep going. And like anything else, you learn and you get better and you get stronger. And then the next time it pops up, it's not going to stop me. Do you understand? It's fun. I know I'm kind of wacky and weird sometimes. I love the growth process. I love watching it. I love doing it for myself. So I don't speak, because I read this here and it's smart. And I mean, sometimes I share that stuff, but I know the things that I know because I've walked the path and I've learned them the hard way. Do you understand? So I can really relate to this. Like, it has actually become fun to recognize when these things happen because now I can see, oh, look, 6 months ago, that one almost leveled me when I was trying to get ready for a show in the morning. And now I'm going, please, Sherry, please, please. Do you see what I'm saying? We get to this place where it's like, oh man, this is wonderful because I didn't react the way that I used to. I wasn't triggered in the same way that I would have been 6 months ago. Isn't that wonderful? And then we can start to celebrate those things. So it's a thing. It's a thing. So the last thing I think I want to sort of bring up about this be living an empowered life is that you choose based on what is good and right for you. You choose based on what is good and right for you. I want to be clear. I don't want to be misunderstood. Okay. That does not mean that we don't take into consideration the other people that are affected. It does not mean that we make decisions only for ourselves all the time. What it means is that we include ourselves in the equation, in the decision process. We include ourselves in, is this the right thing for me moving forward? Okay, we include ourselves in the process, and we do not do things that dishonor us or would disempower us, ever, ever. We don't allow people to treat us that way, and we don't treat ourselves that way. It's a very important piece of empowerment. So there's one story that I've seen a number of times, and I want to say that it's related to like Aboriginal or Indigenous or something. I don't quite remember where it comes from, but it's like Grandpa told me that there are two wolves inside me. One's bad and one's good. And I asked Grandpa which wolf would win, and Grandpa said, the one that you feed. So when we're talking about dancing with our demons, it's very important that we don't give them our power. Very important, because then you're feeding that wolf. You're feeding that wolf, and that gives it the power to come down and take you out. All right. So we are going to head to our next break. You are with me on Time to Rise and Thrive on Inspired Choices Network. When we come back, I've actually got 5 steps or tips or something that I'm going to share with you about this process of learning how to dance with our demons. So stick with us. We will be back in just a moment.
What do you tell yourself when you're not listening? This question came to Jackie Mott when she was trying to find peace and purpose in the wake of tragedy. She began to understand that a lot of her pain and choices had been the result of how she perceived herself and her place in the world. And she set about creating a new subliminal soundtrack that would support her in creating a life of abundance, joy, and fulfillment. To learn more about how she did that and how you can do the same, join Jackie on her radio show, Time to Rise and Thrive, every Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern, 12 noon Central, 11 a.m. Mountain, and 10 a.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
What do you tell yourself when you're not listening? Our subliminal soundtrack plays in the back of our minds 24/7. It's filled with everything we've ever learned about money, relationships, body, and sexuality, about every single aspect of our lives. If you don't have what you desire, the Subliminal Soundtrack Reset program may be the very key to changing it all. In this 8-week program, designed by Jackie Mott, you'll learn to replace messages that stop your desires with new ones that not only support you in creating what you truly desire, but expand your life to higher levels of joy and pleasure. Go to phoenixcoach.ca today to sign up and begin creating your life on purpose.
This is the Time to Rise and Thrive show with mindset coach and facilitator of change, Jackie Mott. To participate in the program, join our live studio audience in our chat room at InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. For more information, visit phoenixcoach.ca, where you can follow Phoenix Coaching online. Now, back to the program.
Hello and welcome back to Time to Rise and Thrive on Inspired Choices Network. I'm your host, Jackie Mott, and today we are talking about learning to dance with our demons and living an empowered life. So much fun to talk about this. So much fun. And I kind of get, well, if you were with us a few minutes ago, you probably saw me get a little excited about it. So I'm just going to take a quick minute right now to share with you some of the stuff that's going on in my world. So as I said at the beginning of the show, subliminalmindsetmastery.com is so close to being ready. I actually got an email from my website guy the other day, and he said it's just about ready to go. So yay, I'm excited about that. We also have the Facebook page, Subliminal Mindset Mastery. It's very easy to find me, or look up Jackie Mott, and I'm sure you'll find it that way too. On the Facebook page, we've got a lot of stuff that goes on there, and I am really strongly considering. I haven't figured out quite how to work it into my world, but I would like to start doing some laughter yoga sessions, just short ones. Because it's fun and it's really, really good for us. It's really, really good for us. Mental health, physical health, the whole thing. It gets our endorphins going. It's really, really good for bodies and for beings. So if you're at all interested in, seeing what I have to say on other subjects, just go on there and like the page and follow us. And there's all kinds of stuff that you'll probably see over the next little while. The Subliminal Soundtrack Reset program is in beta group right now. We are currently in week 7 of 8. The feedback has been tremendous so far. People are having massive breakthroughs, and I just, man, this work, I tell you what, this work just makes my heart sing. It makes me so happy to be, in a position where I can share this information and help guide people through a process. It is so amazing. So, yeah, it is just about finished. Once the new website is up and running and we're done the beta group, I will start putting out webinars. There's another program called Creating Your Life on Purpose that will be coming as an online course as well. So those 2 courses will be running every other month, and that's kind of exciting. And I think that's what I've got for you as far as what's happening in my world right now. So find us on Facebook if you would like to hear more, or if you might like to laugh with me a little bit or play with me a little bit, have some fun. Absolutely, fun is the thing for today. All right, so now we are going to get back to our subject, which is about living an empowered life and dancing with your demons, learning how. So, here are your steps. You might want to grab a pen and paper, or you can watch this when it comes because this show becomes a podcast afterwards. So you can always go back and watch it again and get these tips. But step 1 is get clear on your thinking and how you are contributing to the situation. So there is that radical personal responsibility piece again, right? We need to see how we are contributing, whether it's a positive contribution or whether we're actually making life harder for ourselves or others. We need to get clear on that. So pay attention to your thinking and your actions that are coming out of those thoughts. Are you being a positive contribution to your circumstances, or are there things that might be helpful if you shift it around a little bit? Recognize what is happening. So this is all part of step 1. Recognize what is happening on your subliminal soundtrack. What are the thoughts that are playing there that are causing you to have whatever is happening in your world right now? What are the thoughts? So remember, we talked about that one where it was like, who do you think you are? You're arrogant, you're self-promoter, you're like whatever the hell that was. Uh, uh, How am I buying into that? How am I buying into that is actually giving it power and allowing it to shape what I'm doing in my world at that moment? Okay. Radical personal responsibility. Own it. Okay. It's not that we never do anything. It's not that we don't say, like, good Lord, I say things sometimes and I go, oh man. Oh man, Jackie, what was that? It happens to everybody. It happens to everybody. Pay attention to what you're doing. Pay attention to the thoughts on your subliminal soundtrack that are sort of driving that behavior. And then we can start to address them. We've got to figure out what's there first. Okay. We've got to figure out what they are before we can do anything about them. So then identify the demons that are coming out to play. Identify the demons that are coming out to play. So I'll share another one. So I'm single again after a very long time. I'm single again. And as you can see, I'm not a tiny girl. I'm not, never have been a tiny girl. I don't have the bone structure. I don't have the body shape for that. And so one of my demons is this one that goes, oh, no one's going to think you're pretty. Nobody's going to think you're attractive. Jackie, what do you know? You're not going to find anybody. Maybe you have a demon like that too. I don't know. I don't know. It's not an uncommon one though. I promise you, it's not an uncommon one. And here's the truth. There are a lot of men out there who like ladies that aren't thin, who like ladies who wear glasses, who like ladies who have my hair color, who like, do you see what I'm saying? There are a lot of men out there who will find somebody like me very attractive. And I know this. I know this because it's happened many times. So that little demon, I can identify it and I can say, okay, honey, no, that it's not true. It's not true. And we know this for a fact. All right. Christine goes, hell yes. Ask for a receipt. I love Christine. I just love, she's my producer today. And she is just, man, this girl is a firecracker and I adore her. It's awesome. All right. So step 2 is identify the demons that are coming out to play. Which ones specifically are showing up? And is it the one that tells you that you can't? Is it the one that tells you that you aren't smart enough, strong enough, pretty enough, whatever enough? Well, which one is it? All right? Because we need that clarity so we can start to go, "Oh, I see you. I see you. I know you're there." Step 3, remember that you've already done this. Remember that you've already done this so you can do it again. You can dance. You can dance with this demon. You can shut them up and send them back to wherever they came from because you've already learned how to do it. And if you haven't learned how to do it, I can help you with that. I'm just saying, I can help you with that. So, one of the things that happens sometimes, especially in the early part of developing this skill set, is that it can really knock us. Like it can really knock us for a loop when that demon pops up and we're not prepared. One of the things that I had to do was I had sort of a group of people that I would reach out to when that happened. Very important to have a support network. You know, maybe you need to have a counselor, maybe you need to have a coach, maybe you just need a friend, maybe your spouse, whoever it is. Identify who the person is that you can go to when you need some support and you need some help with that. And as soon as you realize that that's going on and you're starting to slip into it, reach out for help, reach out for the lifeline and pull yourself back out of it. You can do this. You can do this. You can get back on your feet and say bye bye to the demon. You can dance with them and challenge the truth of the situation. I just talked about that. You're heavy, you're big, you're well, whatever, and men don't like that, and you're not attractive, and blah 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 blah. Except I know for a fact that that is not true. I know for a fact it's not true. And I know for a fact it's not true because it's happened. Okay. So whatever the situation is, it's important to challenge the belief, the limitation in that belief, challenge the lie in that belief. So another one that we work with a lot in my business is the money thing. Okay. Money is the root of all evil. Money is the root of all evil. We have heard this forever, right? The truth that we can combat that thought process with is that it's not even an actual quote. It is a misquote of something that was said in the Bible. I don't know what the spot is in the Bible, the reference, whatever it is, verse and all that sort of stuff. I don't know where it is exactly because I haven't been thinking about that. And I didn't write it down, of course. This is just like popping into my head right now. But it's a misquote. The actual quote is, "For the love of money is the root of all evil." Okay. So the greed is the root of all evil, which we all know. We all know having money does not, that's not a bad thing in any way, shape, or form. And when we start to challenge that little thing and we go, wait a second, no, I know that that's not true because Jackie said it on the show and the quote is actually this. Okay. Find the truth that you can challenge the lie, challenge the statement, challenge the limiting belief. Know the truth. And this is also where your tribe, your team, your coach, your counselor, you like whoever it is that can help you with these things, this is where they can really come in handy because often the stuff that's going on in our head, I don't know if you've experienced this, but for me, what I'm thinking about and it's ugly and it's dark and it's hard, as soon as I spit it out and actually like release it out of my head, it doesn't look nearly as bad as it did when it was rolling around inside. So that's something. Sometimes we just need to say it. Sometimes we just need to say it out loud. So find somebody that can be your person that you can say, I just need to talk for 5 minutes. And it's amazing how quickly you can pull yourself out of a tailspin. It really is amazing how quickly you can do that. So the fourth thing, and this might get a little bit of a pushback on this one. Um, I'd like you to acknowledge how this has helped you in the past. Acknowledge where it has benefited you in the past. So, my limiting belief about what did I just say a few minutes ago? About the Self promotion. My limiting belief allowed me to not step into the spotlight. And stepping into the spotlight was not my comfort zone. Do you see what I'm saying? So it benefited me to have that thought process because it made it okay for me to stay out of the spotlight, not share my voice, not share my gifts. All right. So that was, I was scared. I was scared to do that. And it benefited me to have the thought process that made it okay for me to not have to do that. So acknowledge how that thing has actually helped you in the past. Okay. Say thank you. Say thank you. Thank you for the service that you gave me in the past. I got this now. I don't need you anymore. Thank you. All right. So acknowledge it. Like name it, call it out and name it. The last one. So step number 5, shift to that creative space, that openness, that question that will help you to get out of the limitations and into the possibilities. Get out of the limitations and into the possibilities. All right. That is your last step. Shift to that creative space, the openness, the questions that will help you to shift into possibility and out of that space where it's like fearful and limited and all of that kind of stuff. Like get out of the box and let yourself expand and go, what else? What else could happen here? What could happen here if I tell that one to shut up and I get on my show and I talk about somebody could be helped? And if that's the only thing that comes of this, I will be so grateful. Do you see what I'm saying? So shift out of that, like, oh no, don't do that, and get into the why would you do that? What could shift for you if you do that? Do you understand what I'm saying? Get into the yummy, the expansive, yummy, the juicy, like, oh, what could happen here if I actually follow through on this? That's the fun spot. That's the fun spot. All right, so we're going to head to our last break. You are with me on Time to Rise and Thrive on Inspired Choices Network. I am your host, Jackie Mott, and we are going to talk a little bit more about this idea of dancing with your demons and actually learning to live an empowered life. We're going to wrap up that conversation when we come back from the next break. So stick with us. We'll be right back.
What do you tell yourself when you're not listening? This question came to Jackie Mott when she was trying to find peace and purpose in the wake of tragedy. She began to understand that a lot of her pain and choices had been the result of how she perceived herself and her place in the world. And she set about creating a new subliminal soundtrack that would support her in creating a life of abundance, joy, and fulfillment. To learn more about how she did that and how you can do the same, join Jackie on her radio show, Time to Rise and Thrive, every Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern, 12 noon Central, 11 a.m. Mountain, and 10 a.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
What do you tell yourself when you're not listening? Our subliminal soundtrack plays in the back of our minds 24/7. It's filled with everything we've ever learned about money, relationships, body, and sexuality, about every single aspect of our lives. If you don't have what you desire, the Subliminal Soundtrack Reset program may be the very key to changing it all. In this 8-week program, designed by Jackie Mott, you'll learn to replace messages that stop your desires with new ones that not only support you in creating what you truly desire, but expand your life to higher levels of joy and pleasure. Go to phoenixcoach.ca today to sign up and begin creating your life on purpose.
This is the Time to Rise and Thrive show with mindset coach and facilitator of change, Jackie Mott. To participate in the program, join our live studio audience in our chat room at InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. For more information, visit phoenixcoach.ca, where you can follow Phoenix Coaching online. Now, back to the program.
Hello and welcome back to the last segment of Time to Rise and Thrive on Inspired Choices Network. I'm your host, Jackie Mott, and today we are talking about learning to dance with our demons and living an empowered life. So here is where we're just going to wrap up this conversation. And I'm just going to be straight with you. We all have critics. We all have critics. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter. It's that whole thing about you can't please everybody all of the time. And if you're trying to, just stop wasting your energy. Just stop wasting your energy. Put it towards the things that could make a difference. Put it toward the things that make you happy. Put it toward your family or your friends or whatever, your pastimes, whatever. Put it towards those things. Don't worry about the critics. Don't worry about the critics. So I had one of my clients came to me a couple of weeks ago and she was talking about this. She was actually really struggling with this particular thing. Um, there was a family member who had said something that had triggered her. And so we were talking about this idea of paying attention to who the person is, you know, pay attention to the source and give it the importance it deserves. So if you have somebody in your life who has already proven over and over and over again that they want to see you happy and thriving and you know your happiness and your well-being are important to them. They support you. They call you out sometimes, right? They call you out. Those are the people that I listen to. Those are the people that I listen to because they have earned the right to have an opinion. As I have stepped out into this, new thing and this new way of doing things, especially with the show, I have noticed that there are people even more so now who they've never met me. They have no idea who I am. They have no idea what I stand for or what I do. They base their opinions on what they see on the screen, and that's okay. That's okay. But the critics have not earned the right to have an opinion. Do you understand what I'm saying? In my mindset, I don't pay attention to those people because why would I give them power when I don't even know who they are? Why would I give them any power? They don't deserve the right to have an opinion, or maybe they do. Maybe they can have an opinion, but it's not going to change anything. I'm still going to do what I do. I'm still going to do what I do, and it's all good. So, what I've learned is not only do those people not deserve to have a voice in my life, but very often it's their thing. It's their thing. So maybe I've said something that's triggered them. Maybe I've done something that's triggered them. Might actually benefit them to pay attention to that, but whatever. Whatever, you do you. I'll do me. So that's the thing is that they have no real basis for having an opinion or contributing to the conversation. Do you understand what I'm saying? So start to identify who are the people who they have earned the right to have an opinion. They've earned the right to have a voice in my life. Those are the ones you listen to. Everybody else, forget it. Forget it. You're never going to make them happy. It doesn't matter anyway. It doesn't matter. Don't waste your energy. So, there's this thing that I see on Facebook all the time, and I absolutely love it. It says, "I used to care what people thought of me. I used to care what people thought of me until I tried to pay my bills with their opinions." That's the importance that they deserve. All right, that's the importance that those voices deserve. Nothing, nothing. You get to choose. So you get to choose whose voice has importance. You get to choose what's right for you. You get to choose what's playing on your subliminal soundtrack. You get to choose because you can address those things and you can shift them. If you choose to, you can address those things and shift them. You can go from, like I did, that girl who believed that her whole life was ruined into a woman who's standing in her power and letting her voice be heard, who's speaking her truth, if you choose to do the work. Okay. It's all about your choices. Living an empowered life means that while you may consider the thoughts and opinions of others, you still choose based on what is best for you. Own it. Let them worry about what is right for them, but you do whatever is right for you. So I'm going to leave you with a quote here. It's the demons we dance with that show us our depth and help us see how far we've come. So don't be afraid of your shadows. Just keep dancing, my beautiful friend. Thank you so much for joining me today on Time to Rise and Thrive on Inspired Choices Network. We will be back next Friday. Next week's show is Allowance. It is what it is. It's going to be a great show. I am so appreciative of your time. I hope that you have heard or learned something today that has shifted your thinking in a little bit. Have a great week.
Thank you for joining us for Time to Rise and Thrive radio show. Jackie Mott will return next Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 12 noon Central, 11 a.m. Mountain, and 10 a.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. We hope you'll join us. Have a fantastic week, and remember, it's your time to rise and thrive.